I'm Ron Burgundy.
Channel 4 News with 5-time Emmy Award-winning anchor Ron Burgundy. Champagne Sports. Rick Tamlin Weather. And your reporter in the field, Brian Fantana. It's Channel 4 News at 6 o'clock.
Coming to you live from Fight Mixer Studios, it's the Bare Knuckle Insider Show, hosted by Matthew Kohler and Britton O'Bannon, bringing you insider information on all things bare knuckle.
Pound, round for round, still claim the champion. Yeah. Pound for pound, round for round, still claim the champion. Yeah. Pound for pound, round for round, still claim the champion. Yeah. Still claim the champion. Yeah. Still claim the champion. Hard pound for pound, round for round, still claim the champion. Yeah. Pound for pound, round for round, still claim the champion. Pound for pound, round for round, still claim the champion. Yeah. Still claim the champion. Undisputed.
What is
that intro?
Isn't it great?
That
Isn't it
intro
great?
killed me. I was over here just cackling.
It was so good. Like for our viewers, like the three of us for the maybe 30 seconds to a minute prior to the start of the show, the three of us were just sitting here like going back and forth with Anchorman memes, or not memes, but quotes rather. There are so many good ones. Anyway, welcome to the show. This is Bare Knuckle Insiders, and there is my co-host in the chat, and she's super sad that she's missing out. So, guys, Britton is not feeling well. She actually does not have a voice tonight, and she said that she's just coughing too much, and it just would not work to come on the show live. So we miss you, but she told me she's going to be in the chat, so she's still here with us. She's still part of the show.
She could have come on the show, like had her own little square and just muted the camera so we didn't have to hear her hacking, but we could have seen her facial expressions.
I mean, we could have done that, but then she would have had to, like, you know, get up out of bed and like.
No, she wouldn't have.
You know, but listen, we miss you, Britton. We'll see you next week. We're going to hope that you feel better. It's going to be awesome. But again, this is Bare Knuckle Insiders. And listen, we are the insiders here, and so are you because you're watching this show. And welcome to the program. What is up, Jessica and Dexter? Who's Dexter?
So Dexter's my German. He's my German.
Wait, hold on. Before Jessica talks, Jessica, we have a rematch insult game in about 30 minutes. You're going down.
Shit.
That's right.
Well, I won by a landslide last time, so I'm not worried about it.
Oh, please. Oh, please. I'll let you win. Rematch coming soon.
So, yeah, so we're going to do that here in just a little bit, and I get to be the judge, I guess, and jury. But we're going to do the insult game. So the rules are, if you laugh, you lose. They're going to go back and forth with insults, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So again, who's Dexter?
Dexter's my German Shepherd, and he's usually like right here in my face, and he was the whole time I was setting up. And then as soon as I put his name on there with me, he went and laid down. So Dexter's here. Dexter, can you come say hi? Yeah, here we.
And who's Fuzzles?
Where's Fuzzles?
Yeah, where the hell?
Oh, Fuzzles is my cat, and honestly, I don't know where he's at.
Okay.
Brittany, I see you, baby. What's going on, sugar tits? How you doing?
Oh, good Lord.
Brittany's in the house.
This is Dexter.
We love Brittany.
So we got some things to talk about, guys. And of course, welcome, David. Thank you guys both for being here and filling it. It like Britton is so fucking good. Dang it, I try so hard not to drop the F bomb, but Britton is so good that it takes two people to fill in for her. Yes, Fuzzles is not your cat, Isaac. Gosh.
I have had this cat for like 10 years. He is my cat. Thank you.
So, all right. So we got some things to talk about. First of all, we were all on the live stream for the watch party for the last BKFC event. It was super good. And David is playing with his cat. What's your cat's name? Remind me.
Good pussy at the crib like a house cat. This is Aaliyah.
Aaliyah, that is her permanent spot.
Yeah.
I feel like she's always there. And she's always just looking at you like she's ready to kick your ass.
Fuck yes.
But anyway, so guys, that was really fun. The watch party was super fun. We saw some pretty interesting fights. So I want to start off with you guys telling me like what were some of the highlights of the night, what were some of your takeaways, what were your favorite fights, favorite knockouts, all that kind of stuff.
Favorite thing from the whole night was at the very, very end. We actually missed it because we were playing the insult game. So I didn't get to see it. I didn't see it until Isaac messaged me about it. Was Josh Dyer's call out to Isaac? The way he came out was the best thing I've ever heard. I loved it. That was probably my favorite part of the fight, and I missed it the first time around.
And Isaac was on our show. Yeah, Isaac was on our show while he was talking shit about Isaac, which is fucking crazy enough. And also, Elvin was on our show while the big fight was announced, the champion versus champion fight, Palomino versus Elvin. Elvin was on our show. Like, Elvin was talking about you.
I'm upset about that poster because that poster is legit, and I have not had a poster that cool yet. Like the colors, it was a cool poster, and I'm like, man, I want a cool poster.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm not talking about BKFC, but like some of their fight posters are just amazing.
They did me dirty on this last poster. They did me so dirty. I had to edit my posters.
Like seriously, Jessica, like the photo on your poster didn't even look like it was a professional photo.
What do you mean? I haven't seen the photo.
So the poster they did for the last one, they used a picture where I have this bruise on my face. Granted, Isaac gave me that bruise on fight week.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, but
wait,
so I
Isaac
edited
gave you a bruise?
What?
Isaac gave you a bruise on what?
Yes. So Isaac is probably one of my most valuable training partners simply because I am blaming you. So he's probably one of my best training partners simply because he's one of the only people I have regular access to in the gym that has a shorter reach than me. And I don't mean to say that like talking shit.
Yes, you do.
My opponents always have a shorter reach than me, but none of my sparring partners or teammates have a shorter reach than me, but he does. But he leads with his head, and he headbutted me in the face like 5 days before the fight.
Oh Lord! And he's going to say that's not his fault, though.
He definitely is going to say it's not his fault.
So the watch party was fun. Brittany says, who was the favorite fight?
Man.
The very first one was probably my favorite. That was a great fight.
So I really liked the one, and I don't remember either of the fighters' names, and I apologize to them. That's no disrespect intended toward them. I'm not super familiar, but the guy with the flash tattoo that we were all having fun with, and you guys were
that was insane.
That was intense because the flash guy came out, and I feel really bad that I don't remember their names.
The very first fight of the night. Where was that guy from?
Was it by my boy Tyler?
He has a name we couldn't pronounce, and I feel bad for saying that.
The guy from Nigeria, right?
Was it Nigeria? I couldn't remember where he was from, but he was amazing. He was clean. He was crisp. He was smooth. And he was calm.
Yeah. He's going to cause some fucking problems in his division. I
think he put on a great performance.
So having been in some professional bare knuckle fights now a number of times, I mean, and I've never been in a pro bare knuckle fight, so I guess I can't really speak, but just based on my observation, it seems like a lot of times those individuals that come out and really are just calm and composed and collected and really work their game plan, that typically is the person that you're going to see win. Would you agree with that?
I think probably. Not always, because sometimes, especially with bare knuckle, if you kind of are spazzy and throwing crazy stuff, you can catch one of those, and
That's true.
it's gonna cut you in a stupid spot, or it's gonna put you down. So not always, but I think so, because if you're calm and you're not freaking out and you're just trying to watch and calculate, you're able to be more strategic versus just throwing crazy stuff.
Right. And now some of my favorite fighters to watch are those really strategic fighters that really pick their spots. And so in particular, like people like, of course, you got to talk about Mike Richmond when you're talking about people like that. I mean, the guy's just, I mean, he picks every spot and he hits it with accuracy and power, and it's crazy. Christine Faria is another one, you know, that just absolutely is the technician in there. She knows exactly what she wants to do. She knows how to do it.
Matt, who was that fighter? Who was that fighter that stuck out? And again, we're talking about, you know, sticking out the measuring.
He just left it.
Yeah, I don't know who that was, but that's really not a good game plan at all.
No, because you can't block if you're doing this.
Well, you can't block, and it's a measuring stick for you.
My dog's super distracting, or is he far enough away?
No, you're good, but your cat's in the background now on top of the roof of whatever, or no, the rail. But no, like against a trained fighter, like the measuring stick, it has to be pumped. You know, you have to pump.
Well, and not even just pumped. So that was one thing that, I mean, you guys obviously saw the difference between my fight with Segala and then my fight with Pittman. How I used my jab, because in the first fight I was just kind of pumping it out there, throwing it out there. It wasn't crisp. It was just kind of lazy, and I was using it as a measuring stick. And my coach was like, absolutely fucking not. He was like, no, if you're putting it out there, put it out there for a reason. And so I'm still putting it out there, but every time I do, it's going to snap now. And it wasn't doing that. Had I done that the first fight, it wouldn't have ended the way it did. Had I thrown that jab like I did against Pittman, it would have been a different story.
Yeah.
And I have a worse habit of actually, like, when I'm pumping it and I'm just trying to, you know, gauge range. And by the way, if people don't know what we're talking about, it's gauging range, figure out what's the pocket, the distance I can hit someone and someone can hit me also. But my boxing coach, he says, once you get so comfortable, you'll be able to tap somebody, and then you'll be able to fire a jab and fire a combination. So just like a quick tap. And Christina Ferreira is actually really, really good at fucking doing that, where she'll tap. It'll be one quick tap, jab, and then she's following up, and she has a combination. Like you get so good, so comfortable, where it's just a quick tap. Okay, I know how far you are. I know the pocket, but bam! Like
you have to follow up. Right. Correct. But I almost wonder if the guy that was doing that, if he might have a kickboxing background, because that's not super uncommon.
Right. No, for like Muay Thai. Yeah.
Muay Thai or kickboxing, and you know, and measuring the distance, you know, here. But then because your feet are still a threat, but in this sport, in bare knuckle boxing or bare knuckle fighting, it's completely different. So that makes me wonder if whoever that was has either a kickboxing or Muay Thai background, and that may have played a role in the decision to do that. But I really, really wonder, because he did it for more than one round. And what the hell was his corner telling him? Why did they not tell him, please stop doing that? You know, like
a lot of times though, I didn't realize this. I've been told by multiple coaches that I listen better than most fighters they've ever seen. I didn't know that. Like, I'm very good. You tell me what to do, or I'm going to do it. I can do it in real time as you're saying it. I didn't realize that wasn't common. So, I mean, his coach might have been telling him all sorts of stuff, and he just wasn't doing it.
It's possible. And, you know, so my dad was not in combat sports, but he was a basketball and football coach when I was a kid growing up. And he always told me that women are easier to coach than men, because they listen better, and they take instruction better. And he's like, you know, because apparently men have bigger egos than women, I think, is maybe part of the rationale. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but the idea was that the females were much more coachable than men. What do you guys think?
I'll let you take a guess.
So, I can't really speak for other people. I don't know how to put it. I don't really process information like most people. So when I'm given instruction, my brain tells me I must absolutely follow these instructions, or like everything's going to catch on fire or something. I don't know what would happen, but if there are instructions, if there's a step by step, if there whatever, that's the way it has to be done. So if my coach is telling me while I'm in the middle of a round, 1-1-2, oh okay, I have to throw 1-1-2 now. Like so.
Yeah.
So
that's also comes with trust.
Right. No, I trust that Mike. I mean, Mike. Of all the coaches I could have in my corner, I probably have one of the best ones there available. So I trust that he's going to tell me what I need to be doing.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
And Brittany, I can't agree with you more. I am a firm believer that women have a much higher pain threshold than men. I think that's you call it evolution or not, whatever you want to call it, but like they have to, for biological reasons. I mean, they have to. And I don't know if women are better. I think that they're definitely a lot different. I definitely think and a lot of people this might be controversial in today's world, but women are definitely a lot different than men, in a lot of different ways. And I think that women are superior to men in a lot of different ways. I also think that men, have some advantages over women as well in certain areas. So, and anybody that wants to dispute that, go ahead, but do it with somebody else, because I don't like to argue with you.
Right. I'll add something to the conversation. Well, speaking on behalf of my wife is tough as balls. I mean, what's up, baby? So, we're both going through COVID, and
yeah,
she's like watching me, being like, "Oh, well, we're gonna say this," but okay,
I can just picture her facial expression right now.
Oh yeah. I love you, sweetheart. So, from a biology standpoint, obviously, it's not quantum physics that fucking men are, physically, stronger in some ways. But that's also bullshit too, because I know women that have scorched motherfuckers, especially in the boxing ring, on the mat. So, I think there's that misconception that men and women, there's strengths advantages, there's advantages for men, because everybody's different. I know women that would beat the shit out of at least 99% of males walking this fucking planet. # Jessica Link. And I know, even my boxing teammates at my gym, I know some tough fucking women that would, here's an example, men that would come in, fucking burly fucking men, and these big motherfuckers, like these weightlifters, like, yeah, I want to learn how to fight, blah, blah, blah. My coach was like, oh, free trial class. He would put the big broad motherfucker against the 90-pound woman, blue belt, or the 90-pound woman, and I saw them get fucking embarrassed. And they would be forced to come back to redeem themselves. Like, I want to learn exactly what they know, because this woman just beat the fuck out of me. She's a 90-pound, she's a fucking blue belt. I've been raised with mixed martial arts. I've watched Smack Girl in Japan. I've watched the first Strike Force where Gina Carano main event against Cyborg. Yep. I've been raised by all women, so I think I think we're at that point where it's an even playing field. I think there's so many misconceptions and it's all bullshit. And
stigma that the guy needs to be embarrassed that he got beat by a woman. If he comes in and gets beat by a 90-pound guy, he's going to realize, oh, there's skill involved. But when it's a female, suddenly it's embarrassing. It's interesting you bring this up, because I just had a talk with my employer at the gym where I coach at. I had a really small class the other day. As summer comes, the classes get real small. So in my 11 and up class for these kids, they're doing their warm-up drills, and I had a dad say, because I had 2 little boys, they're brothers, and then a girl. And I'm going to have to bring you in early. The girl's going faster than you and beating you.
Yeah.
So what?
Right.
On twofold, I see a problem with that. It's teaching the boys that it's not okay for the girls to do better. And it's teaching the girls that they're doing something wrong.
Right. I'm with that.
I try really hard to break that line of thinking with the kids that I coach, because I do hear comments sometimes like, oh, well, yeah, he can do it because he's a boy, or, well, but she's a girl. It doesn't matter. And
it doesn't.
I brought up with the owners, like, hey, obviously I have free reign of what I do and say and teach to these kids. But when it comes to the parents, how can we address this? Because I can't have a dad over there saying that stuff. Because what's that little girl going to feel like? That little girl is going to be, and she's going to feel like she needs to stay in her lane. No, any lane you want is your lane.
Absolutely. And so, listen, I have a unique perspective on this issue, especially in combat sports, because when I was 5 years old, I took my first martial arts class. So I started training in martial arts when I was 5. Yeah. And I was super into it. So you're talking about, this is the very early 90s. Okay. And that's showing my age. But very early 90s. And they opened up a martial arts school in our very small town that we lived in. And my passion at that point in time was Ninja Turtles. So I was so into it. Right.
Fuck you.
And
who's your favorite Ninja Turtle though?
I mean, they're all my favorite, but I know Britain. I'm super old. But no, I always liked Leonardo because he was the leader, but I respect all of them for their individual abilities and capabilities. Look, I really do like them. So my top two were definitely were Leonardo and Michelangelo, because Leo was the leader and Mikey was like the fun one, but I love Raphael. I love Donatello as well. So, and I think Splinter is the most badass of them all. But
right.
I mean, I was super, super into it. And I got into it and I absolutely loved it. And I was like an ADHD kid, and I, had some behavior, somewhat mild behavioral issues in school. Just like I couldn't shut the hell up. I know you find that hard to believe, Jessica.
Blown away.
Very hard to believe.
But I was constantly in trouble. My kindergarten year was horrible because I missed half my recesses because I couldn't shut up in school. But then the martial arts classes, once I started that changed everything for me, because it taught, it was a traditional Taekwondo, and then add I know, Brittany.
Yo, guess what? Roasted. Yo, Brittany.
Guess what? I'm still medicated and it's still a problem.
Can we get Brittany on this fucking show, please, for the love of God?
Yes, we can.
You gotta get Brittany on this fucking show.
Anyway, I know that I've talked too damn much, but I was very into this and got into the competitive side of it and wanted to work my way through the ranking system. And so I was having to learn things and memorize things. My mom started having to try to help me, because I'm 5, 6 years old. I'm really little. And, I have a 6-year-old, and you have to help kids with their activities, and whatever. So my mom was like, she's like, hey, if I'm having to participate this much already, I might as well get in shape, because my mom was always a tremendous athlete, always a very competitive person. This is probably like 1990 or 91. And, so then she jumps in and starts taking classes and figures out that she loves it. And then she starts getting into the competitive side. Fast forward to 1997, she becomes a women's Taekwondo world champion.
That's awesome.
That's fucking awesome.
So anyway, I say all that to say that there were men that would not even spar with my mom, because she will hurt you, like she will lay it on you, and like,
your mom's cool, but what about the motherfucking fights this weekend, homie?
Listen, my mom is cool, and my mom could probably still. She's 61 years old, and she could probably still take you, Brittany. So be careful. But
those are some fighting words, son.
I'm kidding. Actually, my mom's sick at the moment. She has COVID, so pray for her.
Oh, fuck.
But yeah. So the fight, back to that. But all that to say that, like, I have a unique perspective and a ton of respect for female fighters, because I was raised by a total badass woman fighter.
Fair enough.
But yeah. So back to that. I'll give back to you guys. What other than the Flash guy getting knocked out, and honestly, that was really cool because he immediately came out like the Flash and had a really quick knockdown, and then ended up getting knocked out, which was really interesting and very entertaining. I also really liked I enjoyed the Cochran and Dyer fight. That was really cool. Two really tough and very skilled guys.
The co-main was surprising. Yeah. I was really surprised with the co-main. That was awesome to see.
Yeah. What was so break that down for our viewers who did not see it.
So Fish was definitely the favorite in that. From everything I saw, everyone thought he was going to win. And what I think is fantastic, his opponent, help me. Alexander Houston.
Yeah.
One thing that I found like just amazing with him and some of these other athletes, back to, you know, like Tony Lopez, is the age that these guys are still competing. I actually commented on one of Houston's posts today because he's talking about his age and, you know, being 50 years old and doing this. And I think that's amazing because I didn't start martial arts at 5 years old. I didn't start till I was 28. I didn't make my pro debut until I was 32. And for the last several years, I've been kind of like, okay, I got a really late start. You know, I'm not going to be able to do much because I started so late. Because the only thing I was really exposed to was, you know, like Bellator and UFC, and those people are retired. They've been doing it a long time. They've got a whole lifetime of experience. But then I see these athletes in this environment that are 30s, 40s, even in their 50s, still actively competing and still kicking ass. And for me, that's just amazing to see because that just shows me that, you know, I have a lot of room to grow still and I've got time to do it. That was a big takeaway from me in that Alexander and Fish fight.
No, that was a great fight. And Jay Fish is no joke either. I mean, Jay Fish is one tough dude. But I think that's true. I mean, you look at some of these fighters that are getting into the, you know, in the MMA, probably at this point in their career, it's over, you know, or at least they're not able to compete as high of a level, right?
MMA is so hard on the body. Like,
it's exhausting.
Like, I feel the difference in my fight camps. MMA fight camp.
Oh, it's incredibly.
My last December, it sucked. It sucked so bad.
Like wrestling is, and people, if you've never wrestled or grappled, or if you've never taken a jiu-jitsu class, it is physically draining. It's exhausting.
It really is.
I wrestled since I was 7 years old, and my body's to shit now. To shit. My first fight was 2006, and like, you know, just doing jiu-jitsu, doing wrestling, as long as my knees are bad, my neck is fucked, like everything's fucked. Like, and going back to Houston Alexander, and like the differences are night and day between. And it's so weird with bare knuckle because I'm noticing MMA fighters that cross over and either have really bad luck, or in Houston Alexander's case, where the last time I saw him fight was 2009 when he fought against Kimbo Slice and ran the entire time around the cage, to this time where he actually knocked the guy clean fucking out. Like, the differences are night and day. It's so weird where MMA people are either having really, really bad luck, like Paige Van Zandt, or Houston Alexander, who looks like a fucking world beater when he steps away from MMA and goes into bare knuckle. It's so fucking fascinating.
We'll talk about that a little bit. I'm going to keep going because you talk all the time. we talked a little bit about that during the fights, actually. Yeah. I don't remember who all was involved in that, but no, like even myself, I'm not afraid to let my hands go when I'm just standing up because I don't have to worry about getting taken down. I don't have to worry about bad positions when I'm on my feet. I can let my hands go and not worry about it. So my hands are much stronger in this sport than they are in MMA because there's so many other things I have to think about because I'm not a ground person. You know, I'm not terrible on the ground. I mean, I'm a blue belt. Like, I've been doing it for a while, but it's not my strong suit. And I know it's not. So I don't want to go to the ground if I don't have to. So I'm constantly thinking, what can I do to stay on my feet? I don't have to worry about that in BKFC, so my performance is so much better.
Yeah,
Bubba is
of
old
course,
as fuck and still goes down there. Yeah, and
Bobo's not
going
that
back
old. I think he's my age. So
and going back to what you're saying, to counterpoint also, and to talk about what you're saying, because MMA, you see a lot of people that are not naturally strikers having a lot of good luck. Tyron Woodley is a very good example. And I told people, yeah, it's going to be, Tyron Woodley is going to have a tough time making the transition to boxing, considering Tyron Woodley, all those knockouts came from people that were scared to go into the pocket for fear of being taken down by Tyron Woodley, who's a world-class wrestler. So that was all the knockouts that Tyron Woodley had in his career, because at heart, at the root of it, he is a wrestler. But all the knockouts, knockouts, whatever, came from people who was afraid to come into the pocket for fear that they were going to get taken down. So they stayed outside of the range, and that's how Tyron Woodley had that range in order to get punches off. That's why when he went over to boxing and got knocked the fuck out from Jake Paul, because it's a completely different thing where MMA fighters get into that comfort level where they say, okay, I had such success on my feet and standing up. I'm going to make the same transition, just like Paige Van Zandt. I'm going to make the same transition to bare knuckle. It's going to be no biggie. But it's completely two different sports. It's apples and oranges. And that's a lot of the MMA people who do not make that transition, who can't get that out of their head. They have a rough time. But, it's cool to see that Houston Alexander actually had a,
it's great. And I've got 2 points to make on that. First of all, I think a lot of people hate on Paige because she has not won a fight yet, but she's lost in a decision each time, and she's been really competitive, and she's fought a really hard fucking fight. And so hate on Paige all you want, but I do think that she's a real fighter.
Tough.
I think she's tough as hell. She, is bare knuckle her sport? Maybe not, but she's been tested every time that she's fought. And she's fought really, really hard.
Who did she fight? Who were her fights against? I don't remember.
So far she has fought against Britain Hart Beltran, who's a tough fight, and Rachel Ostovich, who's also a tough fight. And she lost in a decision on both of those, and it went the distance, and she fought really hard. And listen, I don't hate watching her fight because it's not like she's going in there to like running from the fight. She's going into fight. She's just, she just has not, it hasn't gone in her favor. That's number one. The other point that I want to make is like on what David was saying about wrestlers that have come into the world of boxing or bare knuckle is look at Chad Mendez. I mean, who's primarily a wrestler and came out like a fucking monster, right. So it's like when Michael Jordan like played for the Wizards and he was like past his prime, but every now and then he would still just throw down and dunk on somebody. I know, but his trainer
Chad Mendez, and
it's not a good comparison. Chad Mendez is still in a
physical fucking wolves. Bret Hart is not an easy fight for your very first fight and go around bare knuckle.
No, but that's not the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is with Michael Jordan, like his personal trainer was quoted, and I'm a huge fan of his personal trainer, but it's this point that like sometimes superior athletes, when they reach the end of their career, or when sometimes they people challenge them on what they can or cannot do, and you're a really high level athlete, sometimes you just do it to show that you can, or that you still can,
right?
And it's just because I don't doesn't mean I can't, and sometimes you just do it. So I feel like some of these aging athletes or wrestlers that are coming into a different sport are doing it for that very reason. So and I want to ask you guys, what are your thoughts on, like, do you agree or disagree with that?
Yes and no, because one thing which I've already mentioned it today, that just the training for this is easier. It's so much easier on the body. So a lot of these older athletes, I think, realize that. So they realize, hey, I can still train hard as fuck.
Yeah.
And I'm not feeling it because I put on my gloves like 6 days a week. like at least, and I'm able to do full sessions. I do back-to-back sessions some days. Like I go work with my boxing coach for like an hour and a half. We do a hard mitt session, and then I go work with my Muay Thai coach right after that for another hour, back to back, another hard mitt session, and I'm able to do it.
Yeah.
If I were doing like full MMA stuff, I couldn't do that with grappling. There's no way.
It would kill you. Yeah.
It's not so much, I can still do this. I can do this because it's different. It's not, it is. It's easier on the body. So I think maybe the MMA is getting a little more difficult. Maybe it's a little more tiring. They feel it in the body. However, they can still put the gloves on and hit the bag, hit mitts, spar hard, keep up with their teammates and not have to worry about it.
And when you don't have to go to the ground, and you're talking about in BKFC, at least for the men, it's 2 minute. Well, for everybody in BKFC, it's 2 minute rounds, and then you have and if you go over to BYB, it's 3 minute rounds for the men and 2 minute rounds for the women. So 2 and 3 minute rounds when you only have to throw hands is a hell of a lot different than a 5 minute round when you have to face the possibility of going to the ground and getting just utterly exhausted.
I was mounted for almost an entire 5 minute round. Like the round got called with, I think, maybe 20 seconds left in the round, something like that. I spent almost the entire 5 minutes. Someone mounted on top of me, throwing elbows at my face. I couldn't get out. I was stuck. But the effort of trying to get up off the ground for that 5 minutes was exhausting. So exhausting. I didn't care about the fact that I was getting hit. Trying to get the fuck up was exhausting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to take a moment to tell Bobo O'Bannon that I think he's a beautiful man. And Isaac agrees with me. He says, Bobo, you're gorgeous and a national treasure. Let nobody tell you otherwise. I completely agree that Bobo O'Bannon should run for Congress.
Oh my goodness.
Bobo, I'm going to throw you my DeLorean and gun to 88.
Well, Bobo, it said Isaac Doolittle. Guess who's getting a hug next time I see him? Well, I hope it's me, first of all. But, I mean, maybe Isaac, too. I don't know. Anyway.
Are we ready to play this insult game before we continue on?
Let's do this. All right.
What are we doing?
We got to play the insult game, the rematch.
Since I won, I go first, right?
Has come.
Since I won,
come for the so let's go over the rules.
Yes.
All right. Both to your neutral corners. The rules are that there will be one insult given at a time per person. Jessica will hurl the first insult, and the listen. Nothing's off limits. And you will shake hands virtually when the match is over. And listen, and I'm the judge and jury along with the folks in our chat here. So please give your opinions in the chat. Tell us who you think won. Give us your opinion on the best insult. And
but the opinions don't matter. Whoever laughs first loses.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true. But we still want to know what they think because we love them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Let me get warmed up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're now set for the next fight of the night. I'm channeling my insult game. Whoever laughs first loses.
I'm so nervous.
We are ready right now, starting with Jessica. Go.
And keeping with the theme of today's show, I just want to make sure that you are fully aware. Everyone knows, David, that it is just the pleats in the pants.
Jessica, you have knocked out more women than Bill Cosby at a bridal party.
Is that an insult or a compliment?
Both.
David, you remind me of like great value Fred Durst.
If they ban abortions, does that mean your haircut is illegal?
What? I'm not trying not to laugh. I'm just trying to understand that one. You look like you are auditioning for the part of police officer in a D-rated porno. Like D-list porno police officer.
The Grateful Dead called. They want to roll up your wardrobe and smoke it.
I feel like everyone needs to roll up something and smoke it to find your insults funny.
She's so good at this. That was close. That's close. No laugh yet. All right.
Jessica, you have very nice chesticles.
Well, now I know you're just making things up. Which Indian kiosk at the mall did you get that chain from?
My wife got it for me, and it was $1,500. Jessica,
Your turn, David. Your turn, David.
Oh, he knows.
Jessica, you look like a mix of a white Steve Urkel and Carrot Top.
You used Steve Urkel last time, so that should be a DQ. But anyway, why do you put your microphone so close to the screen right there? Because it feels like you're trying to, I don't know, compensate for something. Because it's just right there.
Okay. Your last fight wasn't Isaac's proudest flap. Get it? Like
Wasn't-
bap, 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 bap. You know?
Are you trying to say fat?
Yeah, bap. Bap.
Mm.
Yes.
You're really disappointing me, David.
Sure.
How much does the dog groomer charge you every time you go get your beard and eyebrows done?
When you go to the stylist, when you went to the stylist, they shaved off Donald Trump's pubic hair and put it on top of your head.
The look you make when you're with your face when you're trying not to laugh, is that comparable to your O face?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner. I think we all knew where this is going.
I used to do this for a living. I've tried to tell you that.
I'm fucking crying right now.
All right, so tell me about that, Jessica. You used to do what do you clarify that statement for our viewers?
So I used to work, without incriminating myself, I used to work for the Kansas Department of Corrections as a sergeant. So one of my greatest assets for getting, grown men to leave me the fuck alone was very straight face, talk mad shit all the time. But also, if you kept a straight face, it couldn't be seen on the camera that you were like being a piece of shit, because you can't just laugh at people. So I got very comfortable and very good at saying really shitty things with just a perfectly straight face. But also vice versa. I have had the most vile, horrific things said to me in that place, and reacting to it's a win for them. So I can take a lot of shit and not react to it.
I feel like nobody would ever beat you at this game.
Nobody. You're a fucking champ for a reason. Holy shit.
And listen, I don't know if one of our sponsors would fund a belt or a plaque or a trophy for Jessica, but if they're not willing to, if they're not willing to do it, I am 100% down to pay for the cost of a trophy, plaque, or belt or some kind of something for Jessica, because that was epic. To anybody viewing this live, or anybody that watches this watches this the recorded version, if you want to challenge Jessica for the Insult Game Championship,
yes,
let's do it, because I don't think you can beat her.
Dude, I had great, and I'm fucking a comedic genius, and I had great things in my head, and then Jessica just kept throwing like fucking good curveballs, and it like frazzled my brain.
So good.
I couldn't do it.
What I find amazing is when you tried to play this, with Isaac.
Oh, I'm terrible at it.
You're like, I don't know you. I don't know David.
No, and that's the thing. I'm just it's like my personality is that I don't like, I'm so uncomfortable with, like with insulting someone that I don't know, and so I just say stupid shit like insulting Isaac's beard, which is actually an awesome beard, like, and it was terrible, like. It was embarrassing, to be honest. Like, I'm just really not, like, I'm just naturally, I think maybe part of it is the way I was raised, or just the way I was conditioned, rather, is that, like, it's just like, I'm a relatively polite guy. And so I'm really uncomfortable with being mean to people, especially.
Well, also Jessica's kind of like a comedic genius, because if you go on her Facebook page, some of the memes, like I'll be reading her memes, I'll be laughing my fucking balls off. Like, laughing my balls off. So like that's why I came up with the idea. I'm like, oh, she has my sense of humor. Like this would be a good idea for an insult game, because her and I will definitely not get fucking offended if we're both busting each other's balls.
No, you guys wouldn't get offended. And that's like my thing is, like, if I don't know you, I don't know. Britton, you will win. I promise you'll win. But listen, Britton and I did talk about this earlier. We were chatting back and forth like we do. And I propose here's what I propose, because Jessica's the champion. Let's go here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Let's go Bobo versus Britton, and bracket style. Okay. Bobo versus Britton in the insult game, and the winner takes on the champion.
We should have a bare knuckle insiders like tournament, and the winner gets free tickets or something. We should have
that would be so fun.
All the bare knuckle fighters. We should
pair up random fighters. Get people that want to do it, and that's actually, I've done that before. That's why he's saying that.
I challenged Jessica, but then she'd stick stuff between my toes for Bulldog to attack. Okay, so you, what do you put, like peanut butter between his toes or something?
We were sitting on the couch, and his feet were like he was laying and I was sitting, and I stuck gummy bears between his toes because the Bulldog was like watching me eat them, and Isaac was like half asleep, so I just kind of, and the Bulldog just put his whole fucking foot in his mouth to eat the gummy bear.
That's fantastic. So, Britton, you have time to chat with misspelled Kohler, and you can't even call me. Well, Brittany Carino, I'm sorry. I hate to tell you this, but I'm just more fun than you are. I love you, though. Oh, shit. I'm going to get a lot of shit for that.
Dude, and by the way, shout out to BKFC. I got one of the best cards ever when we went down to Florida. And like I was mentioning, it was like BKFC 25. I brought down the gal and everything like that. Yeah, so I brought down the girl, and we went down, and it was Matt. It was Matt Seibel and everything like that. And like we went down to BKFC, and the arena fairly small. And I made a comment, like I've commentated at bigger venues than this.
It was weirdly small.
Weirdly small, but every fight was fucking good. Like every fight, and I caught COVID, completely fucking worth it. Like Aaron Arnold. Yeah, and so I just want to briefly recap my thoughts about the last card. I love Aaron Arnold's opponent, but I guarantee there was so much money in stock because he looks like a fucking Spartan. He looks like a Spartan warrior. Nobody thought Aaron Arnold was going to win that fight, and then they dropped him.
Are you trying to say Arnold Adams?
Arnold Adams. I'm sorry. My brain's still a fog.
No, you're good.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I have COVID. I apologize, guys. Nope. I'm so sorry about that.
I knew what you meant.
Anywho, and the name slips me of who Arnold Adams was fighting because my brain's so fucked up right now. So
Dylan Kleckner.
Yeah, Kleckner, and he's a great guy. He was on our show and everything. But you can tell when David Feldman put the belt on Arnold Adams, it looked like someone murdered David Feldman's family. Like, did anyone get that? How the company was going so behind Kleckler to win this fight, and I'm so proud of Arnold Adams. We were jumping up and down.
I am too, and I think there was a time when I would have told you that I really didn't care for Arnold Adams, but I've really grown to like him.
Oh, he's such a great guy. Such a
No,
great guy.
he's
twice.
in real life. He's a nice guy, and you know what? He's a really good fighter. He's very talented.
He's a bad motherfucker.
He really is. And I've said all along, and I just want to stop really quick. Brittany Carino, there was no casual conversation involved. That actually is correct, Brittany. Like, we were just talking business, and so, you know, I didn't steal the top friend award from you or anything like that. So, but no, Arnold is a really good guy. He's a really talented fighter. And there was a time when I would have said, look, I would love to hear about that. You should come on Insiders and talk about it, actually, Isaac, but not in a disparaging way. But I would have said, you know, Arnold has great foot movement, and he moves better than any man that size that I've seen in the sport of bare knuckle. I still think that's true, but I also now think that he can knock you the hell out whenever he wants to.
And everybody was okay. So quick spark notes. Julian let me bang Lang. Obviously, people were disappointed. I'm like, they're going to award to the other guy.
What was that? That was
It was volume versus accuracy, and I explained to the guys, and that's people were bummed out about it. But I'm like, it's volume versus accuracy, and obviously, Julian.
He pulled out his normal style towards the end of the last round. And it worked. It looked good. Like, it shouldn't take you 4.5 rounds to realize, okay, what I'm doing is not working.
Right.
Maybe one or two
rounds. That's what she said. You said pull out. That's what she said. And number two, completely agree. I agree with you.
Right. It shouldn't take that many rounds to figure out, hey, this is not working. After like the second round, max, his team should have been like, hey, where's the crazy shit you do? Because you should probably just go do that now.
And that's where I was going to go. I was going to say, do you really put it on him, or do you put it on his corner?
Right. I mean, he said he was trying to come out with a different game plan because he'd lost a couple in a row. He was trying to kind of revamp what he was doing. And that could be true too. But he did verbalize that he was trying to change his game, trying to do things differently. Differently did not look good on him. It just did.
Right. So all in all, great card put together by.
It was fun.
I'm upset that, of course, and I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but I wanted to see Brandon Lambert fight against the gentleman because obviously I'm a pro wrestling fan, and I get flashbacks when Ken Shamrock came from the UFC, went to the WWE, then came back to the UFC to fight Tito Ortiz, and brought a lot of the WWE fan base with him and helped the sport grow.
You know what? I was impressed by Jack Claffey. I was very impressed.
I was too.
I was surprised because I legitimately didn't think he was going to perform that well. However, I think had his opponent had a full training camp and had he actually been in shape, I don't know. Like, I think he would have had a much more difficult time because dude just gassed out. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It would have been a different fight, but it
very well may have been. No,
right?
Jack.
I was surprised.
And the thing that I noticed about Jack was that he was kind of ripped, you know, and he really didn't look like that when he was in the WWE even. Like, he wasn't like ripped like that. Not to the extent, like, he didn't look all cut with like the abs and everything. Like,
I don't think I believed he was taking this seriously. I thought it was just kind of like a PR thing. Like, oh, I was in the WWE and I'm going to, but seeing like the physical work, because you're right, he's way more cut, he's in better shape, and how he performed, I was like, oh, this wasn't just like a PR thing. He legitimately came out and fought well.
No, he took it seriously, and he actually, I mean, I feel like he really had something to prove because he kind of came out of the WWE in shame. If you know that story, you know, he was kind of shamed out of it. Now, whether he did anything like that, I don't know the whole story. And I don't know any of the parts, so I'm not going to weigh it on all of that. But I really do feel like he felt like he probably had something to prove. And I was also disappointed that that Brandon didn't fight. And matter of fact, Brandon made a post, I think today, Brandon Lambert, that he was wrong for pulling. Brandon said that he was wrong for pulling out of the fight, and he let his emotions get involved. And
I understand the emotions he had behind it, because I talked to him a few times on and off about it, so I understand where he's coming from, and I got that. I didn't necessarily understand the dropping the fight part, but I also understand not wanting to give anything to a promotion who you feel is not giving you what you thought you were going to get.
Right. And
yeah,
you know, and this is probably an unpopular, somewhat popular or unpopular. I'm not here to be popular necessarily. But I know Brandon somewhat. You know, I've interacted with Brandon Lambert on a number of occasions. I know he has a lot of people who don't like him, and that he's made a lot of enemies and whatever. I think that is a big part of his public persona. But my personal interaction with Brandon has always been very professional and pleasant, and I think he's in real life. I think he's actually, at least in my experience, and other people you can disagree, but in my experience, he's actually a nice guy. Like
I agree. We get along really well. He's actually sponsored me. His logo is on the back of my fan shirts. Like he has sponsored me. We've gotten to know each other a little bit. We've talked back and forth. I actually think he's a very pleasant guy. I realized after meeting him that a lot of what everyone sees is just it's a persona.
It is. And the thing is, that persona is extremely effective. Here we are talking about the guy. He's had one fight in BKFC. What was it? Over a year and a half ago or 2 years, or whatever it was. And here we are talking about him right now on this show. So,
all right, boys and girls, we got to wrap this up like a Christmas present, because we got your next show coming up. So final thoughts from Matt, final thoughts from Jessica.
Well, definitely tune in next week. It looks like we are going to have some folks from the BYB organization on the show. We're going to have looks like Mel Valenzuela, the matchmaker for BYB, is going to come on and talk about his experience, and we're working on another one or two really fun guests for next week's show. So that's all I got, other than, again, Britton, I miss you. Come back next week, and look forward to having you on. And also thank you, Jessica. Thank you, David, for filling in. Appreciate you guys.
Awesome.
Super fast. I'm getting ready to go on vacation in June. So I'm not looking at fighting with BKFC again until maybe July. That's kind of what we were talking about. So if anyone in Facebook land or YouTube land or wherever the hell people are watching this, between now and the first week of June, I would like to do some kickboxing or Muay Thai. If anyone out there has a card and they're looking for a fighter, I would love to get another quick paycheck before I go on vacation. Throwing that out there. But other than that, that's all I got. If anyone wants to challenge me for the insult game, I am down.
Well, that's happening.
Awesome.
That's happening.
So coming up next is going to be Fight Mixer tonight. We got the mighty Jake Hatton from MMAweekly.com. Legendary, the pioneer, Jake Hatton. Jake, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, guys?
How you doing, Jake?
Good,
and
man.
We also have four-time world champion BJJ Black Belt, and owns a little gym. I believe you heard of it. I think it's Kajija MMA Fitness. Gabe Godzilla Rudiger. What's going on, brother?
Another day, making it happen. What's up, Matt?
All right, guys, stay tuned for Fight Mixer tonight after a word from our sponsor. Thank you very much, Bare Knuckle Insiders. Fucking awesome, and we'll see you in a bit.
Having a hard time going back to the gym after working out at home? Well, now you don't have to with the X-Bar. The X-Bar from X-Bar Fitness is an incredible gym alternative that gives you the same intense workout you get at a full gym with hundreds of machines. One X-Bar alone provides the same workout as a cable machine, bench press, dumbbell set, free weights, leg press, barbell set, and all these other machines. Stop wasting time debating whether or not you should go to the gym. Order the X-Bar to get a quality workout in the comfort of your own home.
Brendan's training facility, where we talk about fighting, training, and events. It's the Fight Mixer Show, where you can hear about all the local and world combat sports happenings. Get ready. It's time to gear up and square up, because we're going live. And now,
broadcasting live.
We will broadcast live on the Fight Mixer Show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Fight Mixer. We are here with Thunder, Jay Catton from MMAweekly.com. Also, a couple other business ventures in the works. Mr. Jay Catton, what's going on, brother?
What's good, guys?
How you doing? And we also have four-time world champion running a gym out of beautiful California. Kaja MMA and Fitness. # go there for your first trial class. Mr. Gabe. Hey, what's going on, brother?
Not much. Just, doing a family day. And now back to the Fight Mixer, trying to keep it going, keeping it active. So things are good.
Fuck yeah. And we're going to get right into business. And right next to, we're going to get right into brass tacks. Big weekend last weekend for UFC. So, obviously, we were talking about it. We were talking about Thug Rose losing her title to Carla Esparza in the rematch. Also, wow, fucking huge knockout. Did not see that coming. Front kick to the face. Probably the most brutal front kick to the face. Probably since Lyoto Machida landed one on Randy Couture. I mean, what a knockout. And, of course, the main event where, obviously, the belt got vacated. But the former champ, I guess you can call that, wins and beats Gaethje again. Did not see that coming, guys. Starting with Jake, what were your thoughts about UFC last weekend?
Yeah, I'm pretty close with his team, Charles's team, and they always ask me, "Do you think this is a good matchup?" And I said, "No, I really didn't feel it was a good matchup. I thought Gaethje is going to be a little too big. A big fan of Charles, obviously, but it just scared me. He takes a lot of shots." And he's been sat down a couple of fights. That's always concerning. But wow, I mean, so much heart, and the way he just walked him down, just like a robot, just walked him down. It was incredible.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
There's been question in the past of Oliveira's heart, and I think I personally thought the same thing, that like but not his heart as much as his durability.
Sure.
But he's figuring out how to take his less than stellar durability, but pressing forward anyways. And it shows that he's a different fighter than he's been in the past. And even Gaethje was saying prior to this match that he was weak, and then even in the lead up was like, he's not as weak as I thought he was. Because I mean, you can't say that for the Poirier fight and the Chandler fight. It's like there's an evolution of him, and it's been great.
What's crazy also is his striking. Usually there's been very few guys that are just such high level jiu-jitsu guys, because it's not really that hard art. A lot of these guys, it's more of that slick movement. And for him to develop the striking and his wrestling game the way he has, I think that's the thing I'm the most impressed with.
Right.
I personally feel that just his mental fortitude has grown into a championship level. You know what I mean? When we had Dan Henderson on the show, we were talking about this. I think a Habib Oliveira fight is very, very interesting because those grappling exchanges are going to be something to watch. Really, you have a grappler that shoots out submissions the way he does, fighting a control fighter like Habib. That's a very interesting match now.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
You've been hearing insider information that Habib might be coming back in the near future. Can you clarify that or add a little bit more context to it? Because you and I were talking over the phone. I'm like, bullshit. No way, Jake. It's not going to happen. You're like, no. Can you clarify just a little bit about your sources and what makes you so confident?
I can't really say who my sources are, but let's just say they're pretty legit, right? Just guys that they're not going to say it just to say it. And Khabib really wants that 30th. Look, we know he made a promise to his mom, but he also, or to his dad or his mom.
I think it was his dad.
I believe his mom.
Was it mom? I'm not.
One of the two, but his goal was to get to that 30-0. And you guys know as much as I do, you know, you're in there. It's not so bad when you stop fighting for a while and then you're not in the gym, you don't see it every day. But Gabe, you know this, man. The second you go back in the gym, start grinding with the guys, you're like, fuck, here we go. Those competitive juices get to flowing, and Khabib's sitting on the sideline. And like you said, with Oliveira doing everything, he's beat 3 incredible fighters. Incredible fighters. And so you're right, man. If anything's going to get him out of retirement, this might be it.
Well, but I like going off what you said, Jake. You know, like there's no doubt in my mind he's a competitor through and through, and there's going to be a lot of talk of like, oh yeah, he wasn't that good because look what Oliveira did in a faster time frame, and we both know that like time is kind of irrelevant when it comes to fighting, but it could be enough to you know, to spark him into like, look, let me go back there and show these young kids what I am and what I do.
Yeah. To me, this is one of the, you know, I think the only other run I remember that was so impressive was RDA when he was just mopping the floor. I think he was the first one to knock out Dan Henderson and the knockout Cowboy. And he went on that run for a while, but you know, I mean, Khabib's done some amazing things.
Wait. RDA knocked out Dan Henderson?
No. Did I say? I'm sorry. Did I say Benson?
Oh, you meant Ben.
Ben.
Okay. Yeah, you said
my
Dan.
Fault, my fault.
No. It's fine. I was just like, I'm drinking
Benson
water.
Henderson.
It must be
Benson Henderson.
There's
a lot of Henderson
in here. Yeah, so that, I mean, this has been one of the most impressive runs that I've seen. So yeah, but I mean, stylistically, like you said, God, I'd love to see this fight.
That's a fight I have a very interest
Oh,
in.
man.
A lot of interest in seeing. 100%.
Yeah.
And what about Carl? Because obviously, Timo you train with Timo Yama, obviously, Gabe, and you train with Carla Esparza, or you shared a lot.
I don't.
Oh no, you did. You met her before, but
yeah. So Carla, the first time I ever met Carla was at Team Quest, actually.
Right.
And this is, I think, even before she was fighting, to be honest. She was just wrestling. And I've known Colin for years and years. Actually, you know, it's weird is for as long as I've known Colin, I've never gone in the room at Team Oyama. And now that, you know, we have the report to go do it, I'm not an active fighter anymore. And then when I was active, most of Colin's guys were like the big guys, you know what I mean? Like Tito, Rampage. So I would never get called in for a room. You know, like they would be like, hey, let's bring Gabe Rudiger in for a room. Like, it didn't make sense.
It was all the Team Punishment guys, right? It was like Tiki, it was Razor, it was Rampage. Jason Mayhem Miller trained a little bit with Timo Yama. Did he or did he not?
Jason went wherever he could get whatever was best for Jason. That's where Jason was. Like he's really he's probably one of the top 5 biggest pieces of garbage in MMA.
Really?
Oh yeah. Dude, he's going to jail for beating his girlfriend. Didn't
he have a criminal like mischief and he stole a bunch of shit?
Dude, the thing is like, so let me tell you, this is one of my favorite. Well, there's so many shitbag mayhem stories, but we're at Team Quest. We're all in the room, and Jason's getting ready for a dream fight, and he takes his shirt off, and he's got the biggest, gnarliest staph infection, and we're like, what are you doing? He's like, I've got a fight coming up. I'm like, and everyone goes, well, dude, but you just train with everybody and you have staph. And he goes, yeah, but I have a fight coming up. And we're like, dude, you just basically trained and gave everyone staph and didn't tell anyone beforehand, and the only reason why we know it all is because you take your shirt off. And he loses his shit like that. We are in the wrong for even questioning it. And then I think 2 or 3 guys got staph right after that. And look, we're all training partners, right? And we're all going to get time and effort. But if I have a disease, not a disease, but if I have a rash or something, I'm not going to be in the room. It's my job is to ensure that my training partners are safe and the people around me are safe. I know we have fights coming on and everything, but like, look, you have to be respectful to your partners. And he had 100% disregard to everybody in the room.
And by the way, shout out to 2021 Mr. America Scott. Personality's key. Fucking love him. But like, so I just want to interject a little bit because like I've seen photos and everything like that where Jason Mayhem Miller was chilling out with like Rampage and Tito, like back like King of the Cage and like those days and everything like that. But Jason Mayhem Miller was always an interesting cat where like I always thought that something what made him go crazy, like something like schizophrenia usually it triggers or everything like that. Because like when the MMA boom was starting to catch fire in the United States, and he was on Bully Beatdown, he seemed like that very good guy to put on camera because he was very good at promoting the sport, very good at promoting himself, and like he had that show and everything. I always thought that with his UFC run, after his dreams pretty much faltered in the UFC, that's what made him kind of like trigger all of his craziness, because it always seemed like he was pretty normal or kind of just that funny guy, you know. Well, I mean, I hate the fact that he beat Sakuraba. Like I hate him for
this. I'm not saying that isn't public information. He is bipolar. Like he takes medication for being bipolar, and then he goes off his medication all the time. And so you know how he's like all hyper and excited and like that's him on the high, and then when he goes into the low, it's really, really bad. And I'm sure there's other issues too. And I mean, drugs, which, when you're mentally ill, I think that's one of the biggest problems we're having right now in Southern California is, you have the mentally ill that are also doing drugs and alcohol, which do not go together at all. And, if you want to really you want to make someone who's mentally ill as sick as you possibly can, you feed them drugs, you give them, narcotics, you do things that, they should not be doing anyways.
Did you ever run into Jason Mayhem Miller, Jake, during your travels?
Nope, never ran into him. Nope.
You're fortunate. Yeah. Unfortunately, he was at Team Quest for a while, and before that, he would come into the room at Millennia. He was just a weird user guy like that. Like he would go here and there, and I mean, look, he had success, but in that success, he burned every bridge that he had with every friend that he had. He's going to jail for sounds like a long time, because what happened was he kept getting in trouble over and over and over again. And then he ended up beating up his girlfriend I don't know his girlfriend, but I've heard from many, many people that she's like the salt of the earth type of person. And so, you burn enough bridges, you do enough stuff, and inevitably, it's going to, that couldn't happen to a nicer guy, like genuinely, but we're going off topic here. Let's go back to the
Hey, we need to do a top 5 list of the biggest pieces of shit in MMA. Maybe our top 10 list, because we've been doing this a hot minute.
Oh boy, and there's some names in there that they have a real good PR group, but oh my gosh, let's do it off air first before we do it on there, because there's a few on there that people be like, what?
I mean, I'd probably be surprised because, Gabe, you have popped my bubble on many occasions, because I'm just a fan. So I look at the sport through rose-colored glasses. Like Rickson Gracie says he's 500-0. Guess what? Rickson Gracie's 500-0 to me. That's the fan in me. I celebrate every single fighter. It doesn't matter. I was about to say Joe Son, but I was just kidding. But nevertheless,
he's on that list. Joe Son's on that list, by the way.
Joe Son is definitely on that list. Son, but and let's just go off the topic, and we'll go back on topic. So top 5 biggest POSs in MMA. So obviously Tito is someone I can agree with. So Tito Ortiz, I think he's done more to hurt the sport when the sport was still evolving. And if Tito was able, and here's the reasons why I don't like Tito, and you guys will have different reasons. But when the sport,
we're doing the top 5 right now.
Yeah, why not?
Oof. Okay.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. I actually don't think Tito's on the list. Now, is he unlikable? Is he stupid as the days are long? Yes, and yes. But I don't think he's a particularly bad person. I know, like, so my list has rapists on it. My list has people that steal from their family and from people that they're close to. Like, the people that will the people on my list beat up their bullies in every part of their life. I don't think Tito's been any of those things. Like genuinely, as much as I dislike him as a person, I can't put him on the list because I have now. I maybe there are stories, and I have no doubts that some people have interactions. But from everything I know of Tito, him being stupid, 100%. I'll give him stupid. Not very likable. Oh, 100% not. He's not a likable person at all. Horrific actor. Oh, without question. But I don't think he's I don't think he's an actual piece of shit.
I gotta agree with you.
Yeah.
So let me just then obviously we're on that where it's not just people that acted amok or acted strange in the sport or like because and again Tito is a great father and there's likable things about him, but there's also very very unlikable people. Like there was a journalist and we brought this up and this is my number one. So there was a journalist back in the day, and Gabe, you and I had talked about this gentleman. Rafael Torre. So Rafael Torre back in the day was a journalist for MMAfighting.com and Sherdog and wrote a bunch of articles. He was always around the MMA game. He actually cornered Quentin Rampage Jackson when he fought in Japan against Kazushi Sakuraba. So he was a journalist. Apparently he was a Navy SEAL. He was a BJJ black belt. He was all these different things. And he had a vendetta fight. He was going to come out of retirement. He was like 29-0 or 39-0. So it was King of the Cage Wet and Wild 2001. And if I have the dates wrong, guys, please, please correct me. But Rafael Torre, he staged a fight between this big burly guy, this big giant guy, and Bruce Buffer was actually commenting.
He was Samoan.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So he won by a bad looking, by my standards, it could be passable, but like to a Gabe or Jake Hatton standards of grappling, this heel hook looked absolutely abysmal, and you could just tell it was staged. Like Nobuhiko Takada and Mark Coleman looked more real than this fight, just to get put in perspective. And then later on, Rafael Torre would actually murder somebody like his mistress, like he had a mistress or he had a woman that he was dating. She was married and killed the gentleman that she was married to and stole their car. Like Rafael Torre, fake Navy SEAL, fake BJJ black belt. He's number one on the list because with MMA booming the way, we didn't need any bad press whatsoever. And he was one of the top reporters in mixed martial arts when nobody would report it. So Rafael Torre would probably be my number one.
I don't know. I think Joe Son. I mean, he kidnapped and raped a woman for an entire week, and then killed his cellmate. I mean, they're like. I'm just saying, like, there's some other guys in there that are going to try to take the mantle that we could go over. And actually, it's funny that you brought up. I've only met Rafael maybe like 3 or 4 times, and the first time I ever met him was at a King of the Cage, and he walked up to a couple buddies of mine and was explaining to them. So this is when everything started to kind of unravel about him, and his career and everything. And he was going on about like, no, listen, you don't understand. I'm Brazilian, and I'm a black belt in Japanese jiu-jitsu. My dad was a Japanese jiu-jitsu practitioner. And so I'm Brazilian. So when I meant that I'm a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but Japanese jiu-jitsu, and I'm of Brazilian descent.
How does that make any sense whatsoever? Jake,
he was trying to backtrack because everyone was starting to question it. So he's going to these, it was Javier Vasquez and a couple other guys from Millennia. And I would just happen to be there. I didn't know Rafael at the time, but I remember him distinctly like trying to backtrack on it. Like, no, you don't understand. Like, this is what the real story is. But definitely one of the bigger pieces of shit in the sport. I'll tell you that.
All right, we'll just do number one. Jake, who's your number one? And Jake is the nicest guy on the planet for how much he's accomplished. Jake is one of the nicest human beings on the planet. Have you ever encountered a POS in your life throughout your travels of the sport?
I gotta agree with Gabe. That's pretty bad. I mean, again, personality wise, I dislike so many people. You know, it is what it is, right? And betting, I have the same problem. Gabe, I'm not sure if you have this problem, but you know so many people. Like, it's so hard to parlay and to bet. You're like, ugh, because you just don't want them to win. You've trained with them, you just dislike them. So I mean, there's a lot of people on that list, but like I said.
Well, you going back to the part of the movie that you turned down. If so, why?
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a good question. Let me finish what I'm saying, and then I have no problem getting back to that question. But yeah, I do find that sometimes, like when like with the betting part of it, I go, my heart is going this way, but my brain is going this way because I really like this guy,
right.
and I want him to win with all my heart, but my brain is saying, like, as far as matchup wise, this is a poor matchup for him, and then I'm like, I'm out of this because who I want to win is I can't put, I'm not gonna bet on emotion. You know what I mean? We're just, but I've been so in my career. I've had a lot of people have come to me for movies and this and TV shows and this. Not anyone has ever come to fruition. As a matter of fact, there's a clip somewhere. I've only seen it one time. I shot a self-defense DVD. God, this has got to be at least 18 years ago. And we shot the promos, and then everything went, very, very typical form.
So Defense on Demand, was it?
What's that?
Was it Defense on Demand?
I honestly don't remember anything about it, but Vitor Belfort was included in it, and this guy D, who ended up turned out to be he was on the run for like all types of fraud, and like he was running a Ponzi scheme. He was the guy that was bankrolling it. Super nice. He was super nice to me. I never had any problems with him, but it turned out he was running a Ponzi scheme. And but I mean, like, God, I've had so many people that have come to me with this project and that project. When you live in LA, it's just one of those things that happens. Like, it's pretty common. But no, I can't think of any movie that and that's the other part. I don't really turn stuff down. Like, if someone comes to me with an opportunity, like, I'm going to try it out and see what happens. I've never wanted to be in movies. I've never wanted to be on TV. But when you make a living off of entertainment, which is what I was doing, if someone came to me with an opportunity, I at least would sit down and listen to them.
How about you?
What about you, Jake?
Oh God, what was the series that was on? It was a pretty cool with Frank Grillo.
Kingdom.
Yeah. That's
Kingdom?
one. Well, my buddy hit me up and said, "Hey, come," and I was like, "Yeah, these MMA shows are pretty fucking terrible." You know what I mean? I'm not, and I'm not trying to be an aspiring actor, but like Gabe said, I usually don't turn things down. But I did a show, a movie coming out called, I think it's Mojave Diamonds with Cowboy and Rampage. I had one word in it. Pretty exciting, but that's about it.
Right on.
Hey, there are aspiring actors that go their entire career waiting for that one speaking role. I mean, I've got a few actors that train in my gym, and not anyone that you would know, but it's a rough racket, man. I really, those guys that put their time and effort into it, I give them respect. It's a rough go. I have another buddy of mine that was on a show for 5 seasons as a lead, and then after the show was canceled, his career kind of, it didn't tank, but like he had reached the epitome of what acting was, and then didn't get it since then. He's had a rough go. Acting is a rough go.
Yeah. And also, you're very good friends with the gentleman that was actually on our show that was Boondock Saints, who's a BJJ black belt. And yeah. I think, Jake, you know him too. Like, damn, COVID brain fog.
Sean Flannery.
Yeah. Yes. Like, has he ever came to you guys and say, "Hey, gonna be filming this next movie. You guys have to be a part of it." Like, he had this really good movie just came out on Amazon. Probably one of the best and most accurate depictions of MMA back in the good old days, like Middle East, and it was fucking radical. Like, oh shit, it was so good. But like, he never
really did. Like especially coming from that time frame, I thought it was done so well. Like really well done. Did you happen to see Sean's MMA movie there, Jake?
No, but Boondocks. That's one of the greatest movies ever. So when I just met him the other day, and we were supposed to. I met him with Shannon McCann, and I helped the producer out with some site locations. So I'm always on set. So I met him, but we were supposed to roll that Sunday, and I know Gabe, you chimed in, and I've heard things. They said he's legit. I didn't know he was a black belt. Like,
no, I met him as a blue belt, and his grappling is exceptional. Like, he's a really good black belt. Like, really, not just because I've heard, like, for instance, I think there's Aston Klitcher has like a brown belt, and I've heard from multiple people that he is no brown belt. And I mean, he's a celebrity brown belt, but Sean is like legit. I put him against other black belts, and he would do just fine.
That's why when you said he's legit, I was like, well, I better get my A game ready, not just some movie actor.
I know we're spitfiring here. We're going off topic, but like, Gabe, do you find that, especially being in LA, and Jake, you can actually answer this also and chime in. But like, as far as actors coming in, because I know Keanu Reeves does BJJ, and I know like a couple of different celebrities actually. Do you feel that gyms will award them just to say that their gym gave the celebrity just to promote? Yeah.
So here's a perfect example: is I've done a lot of private lessons with actors, and I had one guy that he wanted to spar, but he's like, "But you can't hit me in the face." And I'm like, "So we're just body sparring?" He's like, "Well, no, I can punch you, but you can't punch me in the face." And I go, well, why? And he goes, if I break my nose, my career's over. Like, and you really think about it, like, in reality, yeah, he's right. You know what I mean? Or if he has a black eye, he can't go on set with a black eye. And he's explained this to me, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it's so they're going to be softer. Like, look, when your career can potentially be taken away from doing it, they're going to go lighter. And the thing is, they're actors, and so because they're famous, the instructor is going to just having them there is all they care about. So they're going to coddle them a little bit. And let's be honest, jiu-jitsu is when people say jiu-jitsu is for everyone, they're full of shit. Jiu-jitsu is not for everyone. Like, the thing is, you have to have a certain amount of fortitude. You have to be able to deal with some roughness and some toughness. And, I'm not saying there aren't tough actors out there. I'm sure there are, but as a whole, like, they're used to being coddled and being taken care of. And I mean, I guess justifiably so, in the movies Born a Champion, I would highly recommend watching if you can. I ended up buying on, I had to look it up, but I bought it on Amazon. It's really, really well done, Jake. And you coming from that time frame, you'll watch it being like, this feels like that it holds the nostalgia of the NHB, not MMA, but like NHB style, like the time frame when there was a small group of people on the internet that you go to find things out and like find like you were at some you watched some fight, some underground fight, and people would trade tapes and that type of stuff. It's good.
Yeah, back in the day, I love that. When you had NHB on there, you were legit. It wasn't it was NHB was that kind of mysterious, magical, hardcore, fighting system.
Oh yeah.
Love that. I'll watch that for sure.
Highly recommend it.
We were talking, and we have veered completely off track, but I don't give a shit because I'm talking to two fucking pioneers, so this is fucking awesome just listening to. But like, Jake and I were actually talking with Shannon McCann. We were also talking with Scott Lewis. Shout out to him about the NHB, especially the fights. I think it was IBC in Brazil. And I talked about this multiple times. Jose Pele in that fighting Macaco and also fighting against Chuck Liddell, and those fights were fucking gold.
Yeah. I think my favorite was the second fight. Pele walks in with an earring because he's basically like saying like you're not taking me down, and was cocky about it. Then Macaco takes his back and rips the earring out of his ear and throws it to the crowd. I mean that's wouldn't be done now, but what a great era of MMA. Of NHB. You know,
Holy
Yeah,
shit!
Makako then was just destroying everybody. I mean, I don't think the fights, he would shoot in double leg, slam them, mount them, roll over, choke, done. And he was killing everybody.
Makako actually is the head coach of Charles Oliveira.
Yeah, I see that.
That's awesome, man. Like that, whenever I see him in the corner, like I think it's funny is like I recognize him, like, oh shit, that's Makako. Like, because like that, like young 20-year-old Gabe is excited about that. You know what I mean? But it's great to see that he's pushing the next generation towards their goals.
Yep.
Fuck yeah, and I'm just getting fucking Vietnam flashbacks watching Mark Kerr headbutt people to the fucking ground. Like, do you remember that? Like, Jesus Christ, he was fucking crazy.
Walid Ismail was. There's no wonder he's bald, because remember, he would just mount everybody and just headbutt him to death. He was my favorite to watch with headbutts.
He had a huge feud with High and Gracie. I wish that fucking fight happened. Did it happen? High and Gracie versus Walid?
No, it never happened.
No. Yeah,
it never happened. So Matt's bringing up Steve Urkel and Bill Clinton getting honorary black belts. I mean, it's so silly. It's actually, I can't think of which Gracie it was. I think it was actually Hobson gave the president of Brazil an honorary jiu-jitsu black belt as well. I think, it's almost like getting an honorary degree. I guess the sentiment is there, but I also feel that, you need to work for it. There's no honorary, like there's no way in hell that just because, you do something else that you deserve a black belt. That's just silly. But again, like it comes down to it's the optics of it, and it comes down to it's a PR move. The instructors
I fucking hate it. I absolutely fucking hate it, because how many years did you put in blood, sweat, and tears? And everybody thinks jiu-jitsu is easy. It's not. When you get in a room full of fucking killers, you're walking out of there limping every day, coming back. You're putting 5 to 6 days a week in. I mean, you're always dinged. I mean, it shouldn't be given away. Give them that. And another thing is all these championship belts. I fucking hate that too. And basketball and everybody's giving a belt away. No, I hate that also. I feel like it's a participation trophy. You should have to earn that, because you know what, we did earn that. Yep. So I hate that.
Yeah, and I don't care if it's an honorary karate black belt or or an art which are considered less combat oriented. I'm sorry, like if you don't actually put any time and effort into it, there's nothing honorary that should be given for that. It's just look, you might be a black belt in business, you might be a black belt in the movies, you might be a black belt in your whatever you're doing in your like Jeff Bezos is a black belt in business, right? You can't say otherwise. But he doesn't deserve a black belt in anything in martial arts.
And you know what I love about having a black belt? That's the one thing that you could have $1 billion and it should never fucking buy. Because if you don't put the time and the effort into that, you do not deserve it.
But apparently the case is no. Actually, what we're talking about is the opposite of that, right?
Somebody slips me $1 million and a little bit of a street cred, like, I'm just gonna let this slip by now.
I think it all comes down to price, right? People, it's just they haven't hit you're the right price tag. I'm sure if a student came in and was like, look, this is a satchel of $2 million, I'd be like, you look like a black belt to me. Let's
just rough your ears up a little bit. You'll be fine.
Yeah, we're good.
Trust me, doesn't that kill the credibility of your gym? So like the mats never lie, and you could say you're a black belt, purple belt, like silver belt, gold belt. Like it doesn't matter. The mats never lie. So let's just say hypothetically speaking, someone goes in your gym, Kaiju MMA and fitness, and they say, "Hey, Gabe, here's $2 million," and Gabe's like, "Fuck yeah, here's a fucking black belt." So they go into another gym and they roll and they get fucking dollywopped by a 2-string white belt. And then they're like, "Oh, where'd you get your black belt?" "Oh, I got it from Kaiju MMA and fitness." So doesn't it circle right back? And then
Gabe's got $2 million to go pay that other guy to keep his mouth shut too.
The instructor calls me and I go, let's get on FaceTime. And I'm like, look, son, that's $2 million. He's a black belt.
Yeah, give him a second stripe. Just give him a second stripe there. He's gonna pay you off as well.
Trust me. You give him a first degree, and you're gonna get a little taste of this money, son.
All right, so we veered off topic for like 20 minutes and went down a fucking MMA world, which is why I love talking to you guys. But back on topic, obviously the big fight that happened was Carla Esparza fighting Rose Namajunas. And personally, I thought it was a great fight. You know, I don't know why when people say the game of chicken, the most exciting part of the game of chicken is seeing the car collision, like seeing the car crash. My favorite part of chicken is when they can avoid each other and the skill it takes and the technique it takes to avoid a car crash. I thought Carla Esparza did a great job completely not closing the door on any opportunity that Rose had to let those hands go, let those feet go, let off on those strikes. And Rose did a good job because her first fight she got taken down 5 times as opposed to this time 2 times. Carla Esparza obviously shut the door on any opportunities. Rose could not pull the trigger and seemed very, very confused out there. And Carla was able to ride it out to a decision victory. I thought it was a great fight. I thought it was a superb performance by her. Also, Timo Yama has spoiled more fucking hype parties than COVID-19 during a wedding party. Like, Timo Yama has spoiled a lot of poster child of the UFC. So, like, I just want to gauge your thoughts first with Jake, because I thought Carla, it does not surprise me whatsoever that Timo Yama, obviously we talked about it. I grew up with Timo Yama, with Rampage. Timo Yama got something for your mama. I always remember that tagline. But Jake, your thoughts about that fight, because I'm not surprised.
I'm going to try to read Gabe's mind, and let's go right into the corners.
Yeah.
Am I on, Gabe? What you're thinking?
Oh yeah. That is its own different piece, but yeah. But feel free.
I listen. I think Carla's grown a lot. I think she's putting her striking into her shots better. She's very composed. She looks very tight in her technique. I liked everything that she did, and I felt like she was pushing the action as much as she could without putting herself in danger. Rose, on the other hand, she was just sitting back, shadow boxing and punching just enough at the target to keep her at distance. But I'm a big fan of Trevor. I really am. But Pat Barry, and we see this all the time with boxers and their dads, or MMA guys having their dads and their people that are too close to it sometimes. And I know kind of Pat over the last couple of years kind of pulled Rose away from Trevor. And, you have kind of conflicting ideologies and the way it's going. So to me, that was, and, them telling her, yeah, you're doing good. And it was just, it's a lot of horse shit at that level. And that's where I have the issue. Not, you're going to fight how you train, but you're going to listen to your coaches. If you're a good fighter, you're going to listen to that coach like almost like you're a robot. And that's where I struggled with this, was the advice. But I felt like Trevor wanted to give her different advice, and Pat was, he didn't want to step on. It was very uncomfortable listening to the corners.
Yeah, going off of that, I thought, so I can't remember if it was Trevor or Pat, but one of them did an interview afterwards saying she did the game plan perfect. I don't know how she lost. And it's like, if the game plan is a garbage game plan, it doesn't matter what she's executing. If it's a garbage game plan, and that comes down to the coaches, right? Yeah. And then like telling her every single round, you're doing great, you're doing perfect. This is what you should be doing. You're in a championship fight. You need to go in there and fight. Like there should be no account. And you thought it was a great fight, David. I'll be honest, I did not think it was a great fight. It was I understand the strategy and strategic movements and everything. And I also understand that Carla's not trying to get knocked out 100%. But Rose, as the champion, needed to dictate the fight and show that she was there to fight. And the game plan, if that was the game plan, it was a shit game plan. And they need to take responsibility for that. Like, genuinely. To say, like, I can't, again, I don't remember which one it said, but one said that she followed the game plan to a T. For that reason alone, she should have won. It was a shit game plan.
Shit.
So like, Carla 100% decided deserved to win that fight. 100%.
I agree.
And it reminded me of a lot in the argument that I bring up. So twofold. One, the argument that that it was Rose's corner, everything like that, I respectfully disagree. Like, obviously, I'm not going to disagree with you guys. You guys have final say because you guys are more knowledgeable than I am. But the reason why I disagree is because with Thug Rose Namajunas, she's also lost without Pat Barry in her corner, where she lost against Carolina when Pat Barry was apparently they had some problems or anything like that. So Pat Barry was not in the corner, and then Thug Rose Namajunas lost against Carolina. So people don't bring up, and people never brought up that there was a problem with the corner until Rose lost. You know, like nobody, like when she beat Zhang and when she beat COVID brain fog, but when she beat the champion twice, the Boogie Woman, like beat her twice, when nobody had complaints about the corner. Only when Thug Rose loses, or with anybody that loses, that's when they start questioning everything. Like,
but she's a better fighter, way better fighter, and she's peaking, and she didn't even come close to performing of what she. Look, when she lets go, she's got beautiful hands, beautiful. I mean, she's a very well-rounded fighter and very skilled. Yeah. And you saw those glimpses of it in that fight. Like, if she really wanted to turn it on, she could probably put this away. So she's fighting, you know, like Usman said when he lost. Well, I only fought at 40% or whatever it was. Or like, why the fuck didn't you fight at 100 and finish it earlier? Well, like, you know.
Even if she would have won, I still would be questioning the game plan. And like they kept going on and on about this game plan that they made. It was a shit game plan. And so maybe in other fights they had another idea. Like they're like, this fight, this is how we're gonna take it on, and this is what we're gonna do. And it was garbage. Like, genuinely, like it. So as far as the corner is concerned, 100% I can blame it because they go on and on about this game plan they had set, right? And the game plan, the fighters don't make the game plan. The fighters don't make the game plan.
Yeah, still doubling down on a shitty game plan.
Yeah.
And what about Pat Barry saying also the comments from Mr. Strickland? Mr. Strickland actually said that Pat Barry groomed her, like came to the gym when she was 14, and then like apparently those comments are the one that played into. And by the way, like I can see the argument that Rose. I can see both sides of the spectrum where like it reminded me a lot of Ricardo Arona fighting Vanderlei Silva for the title because Ricardo Arona beat Vanderlei Silva during the Pride Grand Prix, and then they fought for a title, and then Ricardo Arona just laid on him. So you had to be the champion, you had to beat the champion and beat him decisively. So I see the argument where Carlos Esparza followed the game plan, but did not necessarily beat Thug Rose Namajunas. I thought it was still close. So I see both sides of the coin, both sides of the argument. They're like, obviously everyone has an opinion. There's no wrong answer. So obviously I'm not a judge. Nevertheless, Pat Barry actually blamed Strickland for making those comments about grooming. I just want to get your thoughts on that, like how those comments would play into, you know, head of a competitor. I don't know. You know,
I didn't even hear it, and he like Gabe said, take fucking accountability for a shitty game plan. Say, hey, we made a mistake. We need to fix this and get better. That's what I want to hear my coaches say. You know, I want to say, hey, you know what, we need to adjust the game plan, and it just didn't happen. So yeah, I didn't know
anything about. I mean, I had heard the Strickland comments, but I didn't know that Pat was trying to. I feel like that's a cop-out, man. Like, how does someone else's comments about you grooming have anything to do with the game plan that you made for your fighter? Like it's irrelevant to the topic. And I mean, you're using that as like a scapegoat to get out of it. And the reality is, like Jake was saying, take some accountability. Look, we messed up. We made an error. Okay, we thought this would be the good game plan. It wasn't the right game plan. What we're going to do is we're going to fix it. We're going to show you the Rose that everybody knows and that we've shown in the past. We're going to bring her back. Like, you know, like that would have been it's an easy fix. Yeah. It really, like, genuinely on the coaching end, it's not a difficult fix because you have Rose, who's an exceptional athlete, and she's shown it time and time again. She went out there and had a really poor showing, and it was expressed because of the game plan. So you recognize that, look, we made a mistake. We fixed the mistake. We come back stronger. Simple.
And isn't it concerning to anybody that they're still doubling down on a shitty game plan?
And then complaining about what Sean Strickland said about him grooming her.
Right.
Like, does Pat Barry really give a shit what Sean Strickland has to say? Like, and the reality is, like, conceivably, I will concede that as a father, it's strange to see that this 20-something-year-old man, met a 14-year-old girl in the gym, and then later on that they became romantic. But I don't know enough about what happened, and I don't know that it sounds like they were adults when they actually started a relationship. But again, like that wouldn't change my thought process of the fight. They wouldn't like the idea that he's scapegoating instead of trying to fix the real problem, which is taking accountability.
Right. What's the old phrase that victory has 100 fathers, but defeat is an orphan? Is that the phrase that applies here? Where no one I think it's more beneficial if Rose just say, hey, like, I agree with you on that. It might have been more beneficial if she's going to get back to the championship ranks and everything like that. Her last 2 losses, she vastly improved because she went back to the drawing board. I think it does it's counterproductive when you blame certain shit instead of a lack of technique or fixing your technique or just having a bad game plan. It
was a shit game plan. That was it. Like genuinely, we have seen her fight way better than that. We have.
Well, whose game plan was it? Because again, I think it was about 2 years ago. Like I was saying earlier, Trevor was her coach and it was building her, and they had that great relationship. And we know Trevor's going to develop a good game plan. He's a good strategist. He's a great coach. And then Pat Barry came in. They started dating. He started pulling her away more and more. And then he's like, no, I'm her head trainer. And now they're kind of coaching together. And it was just in that corner. And Gabe, I don't know if you've ever had a fighter, you've had somebody else, one of their close friends or somebody that they're just fucking things up in the corner. You can't really say anything, but in your mind, you're going, Jesus. So that's the dynamic I'm looking at it is those two coaches, because I don't always feel it's best for your wife or your fiance to coach them. Sometimes you need somebody just to scream at them and be you got to bring that shit home too. That's a mess.
I'll tell you this. Anytime I have been in a corner and I have seen a significant other in the corner, now admittedly it's more wives and girlfriends than the reverse. I'm like, that guy's going to lose. And without fail, I would say 9 out of 10 times it is a loser. And the thing is because there has to be a disassociation between the two. Like genuinely, like I understand that like you're training and you're in love and everything like that, but they don't always meld well together. And I mean, I name someone in history that has there's been a husband wife duo that has done exceptional in combat sports. Name one. And I'm not talking about just jiu-jitsu or MMA. I'm talking about boxing. I can't think of any. I mean, you need to have it has to be separate. Really.
Yeah. And just to interject too, the Smashing Machine documentary where Bas Rutten is training fucking Mark Kerr and saying, yeah, he's got to get rid of the girl. He's got to get rid of his wife. And then the wife is in Mark Kerr's corner, goes to the Pride, and obviously it's no contest, but Igor Vovchanchyn beats the living shit out of him. And the wife, after the fight, says, yeah, we were drinking and partying and we're doing all this shit. That information, if you're going to be a corner person too, that information would have been very, very useful. Like when you're telling your husband, please pull out of the fight. Like, so, I agree. Okay. That was a good way to
husbands, wives, fathers. It's like Gabe said, create that disassociation between the two. Cause it's just, again, you have to take that shit home. Then
there's also an emotional bond there that you're not going to have. Like you're going to take it home, right? And so whatever issues you have are going to come into your personal life as well. And I honestly, I can't imagine going home to let's say my wife was in my corner after I lost a championship fight, and it's going to make a mess, 100% mess. Because look, every time that I came home to a girlfriend that after a loss, it ate me alive. And I couldn't imagine if she was also part of my camp, if she was part of and the thing is, I hate to say it, but I would start to feel like I'm going to put more pressure. I'm not pressure, but are they part of the problem? You know what I mean? And again, it shouldn't be a part of the problem. Your significant other should be your rock and the person to pick you up. They shouldn't be involved in it. That's my personal opinion.
True. So obviously we have Matt here. Strange Pie is not going to be airing tonight, but Matt actually wanted to chime in on the topic. So Strange Pie obviously is going to be moved to next week. Obviously, this is going to be the last episode for the evening. But Matt, what's your take on it?
So I'm always long-winded, and I'm going to try to keep this short.
Let's do it.
But hang on just a second. So there was a situation. So in my younger life, I was a professional musician, and after my experience as a professional musician, I managed a number of professional musicians, bands, artists, and things like that. There was and there were a couple of opportunities for some of these people to take it to the next level, right? Like you know, like in the entertainment industry, there are levels of talent, and much like the fight industry, there are levels of talent, but your level of talent doesn't always dictate the level of success that you're going to experience, right? And I think that you guys know what I'm talking about, like there's talent, and then there's personality, and then there's all of these outlying factors that play into all these things, right? So I had this one band that had all of the things that you need, and then combine that with my experience as a young artist and experiencing some success as a young artist in the music industry, and then like ultimately I just decided that that's just not what I wanted to do, because it was just too much bullshit for me personally to deal with. But I still believed in the industry, right? And so I wanted to support other people who also had that dream. And so I worked with these young and up and coming artists who had the same dream that I had when I was them, right? And so I took on this one band who, just by chance, at the time I was managing a bar, and there was a waitress at the bar who's like, hey, like, she knew my history. She knew a little bit about what I had done. She's like, you should check out my boyfriend's band and whatever. And they're super, super good. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I had a free weekend evening. And so I went to check out this band, and then I did, and I was completely blown away by their live show. I was like, oh my gosh, like they have all of these intangibles, and like their sound is so good, and whatever. And so I fell in love with these guys, and they had the personality, they had the look, they had the talent, they had the sound, they had everything that you would want to like take and market and mold them into the next big thing. And so I decided that, okay, I'm going to invest my time into these guys, because ultimately if you're managing fighters, or if you're managing talent or whatever, like your investment is your time, right? Because there's no money to be made on the front end. There's zero money to be made on the front end. And so your investment is your time. Yeah. And so I invested a shitload of time into these guys. And I put, so when I found them, I knew they had a raw sound that was marketable, and I knew that they had the look, and I knew that they had everything that these industry executives were looking at in me at the time.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, I can package you guys. I can sell you. I know what these guys are looking for because I've been there. And so I decided to take on this project. When I found them, they were begging, not begging, but they were playing for beer and tips, right? In any hole in the wall shithole bar that you could possibly imagine in a small town.
Right. So end result. Well, what happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So fast forward to a year and a half later, they're opening for nationally touring, like big name bands. We have an offer on the table from Universal Records, who at the time and probably still is the largest music distribution company in the world. You know, record distribution company in the world. It's like the dream deal that every young artist dreams of.
Okay.
Like if you're a young musician, this is what you've always dreamed of.
Okay.
And the ultimate result was that the band turned down the fucking deal. They said no. They refused to sign the papers. Why?
The wife.
It was a Yoko Ono situation, guys. It was a Yoko. So there was the band was divided by this relationship. So you had a guy that was a really talented lead singer who had brought us to where we are, right? And then you had a drummer who also was a really talented vocalist, but wasn't happy playing second fiddle, right? And so the argument was, well, why can't my man be the other lead singer of the band? It's just like, listen, if you're the lead singer of fucking Guns N' Roses, great. But if you're the drummer, guess what? You're also along for the ride and you get all the benefits. Right. So just be the fucking drummer and shut the fuck up.
Women are a hell of a drug.
Right, but that was the whole thing. It was like why can't you just be happy with your man being the drummer and the background singer for what is possibly going to be the next big thing? But she wasn't happy with it, and she convinced him that he wasn't happy with it, and so they turned the deal down for Universal Records, which was a huge record deal, and with that also included and it was going to be produced by a Grammy-winning producer. Okay, a guy who was fresh off of winning R&B Record of the Year was going to produce this record, and then also there included in the record deal was a sponsored college campus tour for an entire summer, which was also big money, and so they turned this deal down because there's one guy ultimately who wouldn't sign the contract, and it was because he couldn't understand, or rather she and he couldn't understand, why can't we just make a new record that had two lead singers?
Very interesting, very fascinating.
It is. But
the story is don't bring your fucking relationships into business.
That's the story.
Easy, done and done.
That's the story. That's the story. That's exactly it. Is because we were fine until she had a say in it, and when she had a say in it, it all got fucked.
Right.
Right.
So before we wrap this up like a Christmas present, I also want to talk about Tony Ferguson catching a foot to the face. That was more brutal than it was probably just as brutal as Anderson Silva KOing Vitor Belfort and also Randy Couture getting knocked out by Leo the Dragon Machida. Did you see that coming, Jake?
God, I didn't. But, Tony looked great. This was a catch fight for Tony because he changed his camp. And listen, Tony can say whatever he wants and talk a big game. He fucking knows he's been on a skid and his UFC career is about over. Just for the sheer way he hasn't got knocked out every fight for the last 4 fights, but he's been beaten on, just literally beaten on an inch of his life. So he changed his camp, but man, Tony Ferguson's always dangerous. I was struggling with this one, betting on it, because I was like, man, he's fighting for his life. And Michael Chandler's fighting on house money at this point. He's just having a good fucking time.
The first round, he looked good, man. I was like, Tony's could potentially win this. Genuinely. The first round, even when he was taken down, he was landing strikes and he looked composed and looked sharp. I thought the first round, 100%, even though Chandler got that beautiful takedown, it wasn't like he didn't get damage off of it. Tony was doing the damage off bottom. Looked great. And then things happen, man. MMA, make one error, one mistake, and donezo, son.
Yeah. Did you see that knockout? I know you were out with Matt, but were you able to see that knockout? Like, what did you think about it, Matt?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see one fucking bit of it.
Dude, fucking nuts. Matt is part of Bare Knuckle Insider, so his bread and butter is bare knuckle.
Matt doesn't give two shits. If they're wearing gloves, Matt's not into it.
Listen, it's like, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm a lifetime martial arts fan and martial arts practitioner, but since the launch of professional bare knuckle in 2018, it's hard for me to watch anything else. And I know that you guys have your opinions on it. And I know Gabe, especially you, I know what your opinion is. I saw your post earlier this week, and I'm not disagreeing with you one fucking bit.
What post was it? I'm not.
You were talking about how the absolutely there and I don't even dispute that the best fighters are in MMA. The best well-rounded fighters are in MMA at a high level.
Oh, yeah. And I was drunk when I posted that.
Okay, but I remember that post, and I don't disagree with it at all. Like I think that I think you're absolutely correct. Like the most well-rounded, I think that's almost why, like, for me as a fan, like, it's almost like not even like, now I won't say it's not fun or not entertaining, but it's less entertaining than it was in the old days. And I say the old days, like, I don't mean that insulting to you and Jake. Like when you guys were fighting, it was a lot more fucking fun to watch, though. It was more fun to watch because it was raw. Right? It was raw. Now they're so fucking good that it's like it's become more of an athletic competition than a fight.
Well, but let me ask you this, Matt, real quick. So the primary fighters in bare knuckle that are getting any notoriety whatsoever are former MMA fighters, right? And how many, like, okay, who has the best record in bare knuckle? I see the rankings. It's like the guy who's number one is 2-0. You know, the guy that has
fuck the rankings.
They're only a few
don't
fights,
pay attention to that
and
shit.
somehow like they're ranked as like you know.
It's all politics, bro. It's politics.
Is it politics? I mean,
it's politics.
But like it's in it. Admittedly, it's in its infant stages, right? So you don't have a guy who's got, like, 20 bare knuckle fights, but
you've got a couple
guys.
Like
Most of the guys and girls that are doing it are failed MMA fighters or fighters that have retired from MMA, and now they're doing this as their second coming. Is that fair to say?
Are you talking about bare knuckle or PFL?
Wow.
Zing.
Wow. There's some good fighters in PFL.
Zing.
There's some really good fighters in PFL.
I know.
But
I do think that there are reasons for it. Number one, I think it's a different sport, and I think that a really good example is like a Luis Palomino, who is undefeated in bare knuckle, but was like
how many fights though? How many fights does he have?
Like 7 or 8.
Okay, now in bare knuckle, that's a lot. Like 7 or 8 in bare knuckle.
No, it is. It is in today's bare knuckle world. But he was like a 500 fighter in MMA. But you take a guy like Luis Palomino out of the MMA arena, and that wasn't his world. But you put him where he's in a situation where he's standing on his feet, and you just have to throw hands. Then he's gonna fucking dominate you. Right. Like it's not. And again, I'm not disputing. Like I agree with what you said. Like in like totally.
I have to go.
Most well-rounded fighters are.
We have to. I would love to have this conversation more. I have to take my daughter to the airport, and so I actually have to go. But let's talk some more. I genuinely, like, if you want to have this conversation later, I have no problem doing that.
Let's do it.
I have to go, gentlemen. Thank you so much. I'm out now. Later.
Love you guys.
And Jake, final words. We're gonna wrap up the show like Chris is present. Final words from MMAweekly.com. The man himself, Jake Hatton. Well, final words. Final thoughts.
I'm still speechless on her corner. I just can't get over that. That's and honorary black belts, which I fucking hate. You know?
I do too, dude. It's insulting. It's insulting to anyone that put in the work.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. What were you saying?
No, go ahead.
All right, and Matt, final thoughts, sir.
Well, back to Jake because we cut him off. What was your last thing, sir?
Well, I was going to say something, and I'll make this real quick. I was supposed to fight in the inaugural bare knuckle show in Laramie in Wyoming because Fort Collins is my neighbor. So I was actually supposed to be on that show, but so I work closely with Feldman and all those guys. But contract never got sent over. Different story for a different day. Please continue.
Well, hey, let's make a news story because listen, we can do this. All right. If you want to fight bare knuckle, you're talking to I know people, but you know what? The fans would fucking love to see that, Jake, like, and myself included. I would fucking love to see that. And I promise you that we could get you a fight. And I
don't want to see Jake
100%
fight.
guarantee.
Jake's a pioneer. He's an MMA pioneer. He's an
Dude,
MMA legend.
I want to
Let
see
him
Jake
enjoy
kick
his
someone's
environment.
ass one more time.
I just wanted to do the show just to do the inaugural one, you know. But bare
Fair
knuckle, you know, I put my time in. But bare knuckle, that's a rough. So I got an ugly enough mug, you know. I don't need to make it any worse.
But okay, my final thought is that I'm looking forward to the next show and having this discussion with Jake and Gabe, and I love what you guys do, and it's been a lot of fun. And thanks everybody for watching. Love you guys.
Fuck yeah! And Jake and I, we have a project that we're working on. We're gonna reveal it shortly. It's gonna be awesome, especially if you're into the Las Vegas scene. Jake is doing his due diligence, working very, very hard, and new products to be launching soon. And you guys, I'm very, very excited for Jake. I'm very excited for myself and everyone that's involved. It's going to be really fucking radical. So, boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us for tonight. We will see you next weekend. From Jake Hatton, Matt Kohler, and myself, we will see you next weekend. Sayonara.
Having a hard time going back to the gym after working out at home? Well, now you don't have to with the X-Bar. The X-Bar from X-Bar Fitness is an incredible gym alternative that gives you the same intense workout you get at a full gym with hundreds of machines. One X-Bar alone provides the same workout as a cable machine, bench press, dumbbell set, free weights, leg press, barbell set, and all these other machines. Stop wasting time debating whether or not you should go to the gym. Order the X-Bar to get a quality workout in the comfort of your own home.